What's up, Singapore? Rasati out here, joining you live once again on this Night Owl podcast. Now, I really do miss, I really miss the Facebook Live audio function, but it's all good. Your girl will get it together eventually anyway. But the point being that I'm actually happy to be here. I'm happy to be producing this podcast every day. Well, for the most part, every day. A lot of podcast episodes, a lot of different topics, and you guys actually fuel the topics that I speak about. I don't know if you realize it or not, but I listen to what you guys tell me. I read the posts that you post. I see the things that people are asking about, and I want to be able to help as much as I can. So as we used to do, we jumped back on today. Chantel and I from Wild Love Nation jumped back on and did a live class once again. We're going to get back in the groove of doing that once a week because I think it's really important, especially now since you have the ability to actually take the time and explore yourselves and learn more about your bodies. I think it's really, really important that you know what baseline is for your body, and then you notice when things are not feeling good or not smelling good or not looking right, whatever, and then you can actually decide what you want to do about it, how you can fix it or get back to a baseline as much as possible. Now, during the course of that conversation, we realized that there were a lot of things that we hadn't spoken about. And when we got offline, we always do like a debrief of the class that we had. And we were talking about how to build our businesses further and actually provide more services to the public at large. And what we realized is a lot of us don't know how to put down our traumas when we describe who we are. Both Chantel and I have been through sexual molestation cases, and we've been through difficulties with our identity and our sexuality in general. It was all kind of affected by the traumas that we experienced as kids, and then the amount of openness we experienced around us as far as speaking about your sexuality, asking questions, being able to be feminine in any way without being looked at as, prudish or, too open or promiscuous or whatever the case may be. And so it was something that we wanted to talk about. The reason I want to mention it in this podcast is because I think it's really important that we learn to describe ourselves without using our traumas. Who are we if we aren't our traumas? If we don't lead with, oh, I am a sexual abuse survivor, who are you? How would you describe yourself? What are the labels you would choose? Would you choose adjectives to describe your character, or would you choose labels to describe who you are? Like, honestly, if I wanted to choose labels, I'd say I'm a mom, I'm an actress, I'm a voiceover talent, I am a public speaker. Eventually, I want to be a TED speaker. Hey, hint, hint. I own a podcast. I teach emotional intelligence. I'm a teacher. I'm a chef. I'm an avid fan of coloring, stuff like that. So that's how I would describe myself, I think. But then how would people describe you? Because when people describe you, they would not use some of those labels that you expect to use. And this is another aspect of reputation and character that you need to kind of come to grips with in the course of your life. So the first part first, people tend to lead with what their trauma is. A lot of people will say, I'm this survivor, or I'm that survivor, or I have depression and anxiety. I suffer from mental health instability issues. I have an eating problem. I am labeled as fat. I am labeled as skinny. I am labeled as having a disability of some sort. I know that, there are people out there that talk about they are, differently abled. It's the way they lead with a term that describes them. It's something that they think that is helpful to describing them. But if I were to describe myself, honestly, I think I would describe myself as an optimist. I'm an optimist. I look for the silver lining in everything that I'm doing. I don't always find it, and that's not always the first thing I look for either. I'm prone to those moments, but I try really hard to be optimistic. I am love. I love love. I love the idea of falling in love. I love the idea of sharing and giving love. I would encourage myself to learn to receive love a little bit better because I have a little trouble receiving. But the point being that the way we describe ourselves says a lot about how we see ourselves as well. A lot of people have a very difficult time dropping that trauma, not using it to describe yourself, mostly because sometimes they don't know who they are without it. And I get it. You took a long time to identify what it was that you felt was wrong with you, that had affected you so much that you're no longer the same person you used to be. And then once you're used to describing yourself that way, how do you get rid of that? How do you drop that label from your description, from your bio, so that you can be seen as an individual, a human being, healthy and okay in their own right? And obviously we're always striving for more. We're looking for other ways to improve ourselves and to become bigger and badder and more badass than we were before. And sometimes using that label reduces that ability, that capability. Yes, Obviously, everything we've been through will affect what we are right now, who we are right now, how we respond to people. A lot of the things that we've been through have generated coping mechanisms. So when you say you have anxiety, honestly, you were not born with anxiety. You learned it somewhere along the way. And being anxious means you're super vigilant, you have great attention to detail, and you overthink everything because there was a time where you didn't overthink it and something caught you, blindsided you, and hurt you so badly that you decided you were going to be vigilant going forward no matter what the circumstance. And so it became a habit for you to keep yourself safe. So in that regard, when you say you have anxiety, it's something you've taught yourself to keep yourself safe. But it's also something you can unlearn. It's also something that you can learn to reduce a little bit. So it's not such an anxious state of being that you're constantly in. It's more like, okay, I know when I need to pay more attention and when I can actually relax and lean into the experience and enjoy what's going on in my life. Same thing for depression. At some point you realize that something hurt you so badly, and when you felt the grief and you embodied the sadness and you understood what it meant to lose somebody, you went through those processes, you realized that in that state you got a lot of attention. In that state you were able to get people to really pay attention to you in the way that you needed, and so it became a coping mechanism. You would go through periods of you're okay, nothing's really that major, everything's manageable, you can get through the day okay, and then something would happen, it would flip the script, and you were like, you know what, no, this is not okay, and I don't feel so great, and I feel like I need a little bit more attention. I need people to reach out to me. I need to know someone's there for me. So it's those moments that you felt like you finally got something that you needed in your life that you weren't getting before. So it's a coping mechanism. It's something that you've taught yourself that you can do in order to reach those goals, those human needs that you need so desperately in order to feel fulfilled and to feel like you matter. The same thing for a lot of these things. I go through periods of real rage, mostly because when I feel like I have that rage, I feel like I can control the situation a little bit better. It's like I cut everyone off and I push everything to the side and I focus on only what I want to do because I need to matter to myself and I need to be in control of what's going on in my life. A lot of times the rage is preceded by moments of confusion and utter chaos because I don't know what's going on and I'm not in a position to control any of it. So what do? I cut out all the noise as much as possible and I focus on the things that I can. But I need the rage to do that sometimes. Now, eventually I will get to a place where I don't need to use the rage, where this will be something that becomes second nature to me and I'm able to focus instead of use rage to focus. I'm able to focus with maybe meditation or with, selective attention and find a way to focus my energy in places that really need the help instead of being distracted by things that really don't matter to me or things that I can't really control. So it's like that. A lot of times we find that it's difficult to get through the day. And I want to make sure that you understand that the trauma is there to teach you something. Something happened that you could have prevented. Something happened that you should have known better about. Something happened where you could have stopped it a couple times along the way and you didn't. You wanted to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And what's the flip side of that now? After the trauma has happened and you have 20/20 vision on what happened and you can justify why you did this and that and the other, now you're super vigilant because you will never, ever be in that position again if you can help it. So what are you doing? You're helping it. You're making sure that you're never in that position again. But as you filter out all of those experiences and as you become super vigilant or, extra careful about things, you also shut yourself out to experiences that really are beautiful. It's a matter of trusting yourself and your gut instinct. So when your gut speaks up, you're like, oh, okay, you know what? I probably shouldn't do this. I probably should stay away from this person. But some of us really want the experience and we tend to override those red flags along the way and then get caught up in a situation where you knew at some point or several points that you shouldn't be here, but you followed it anyway. Anyway, all of this to say that I feel like we need to find a way to describe ourselves without our traumas. Obviously, the trauma is a part of you. It will always be a part of you. It's taught you certain lessons that you may not have learned any other way. And obviously, trial by fire is some of the best ways to learn and really retain the information that you've learned in a lesson. So with that being said, I want to make sure that you also find other ways to describe yourself. Notice if you lead with the trauma whenever you introduce yourself or when people start getting to know you. How do you describe yourself? What do you tell people about you so that they understand where you're coming from? And I get it. You need people to understand right off the bat that, you know what, you're a little sensitive. You have, a sensitivity towards certain labels or towards certain behaviors. And maybe you're a little anxious in public situations. So you tell them, hey, you know what, I'm a little shy. I'm going to try my best to manage the situation, but don't mind me if I get nervous or I tend to back away is just me doing me so that I can stay and feel protected. So it's just one of those things I wanted to talk to you about. Self-awareness, again, at its peak, because if you don't know about yourself, you won't find a way to relate to other people. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you about these things. If you have specific questions you want to ask me, please reach out, DM me. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys once again. But until then, please stay safe. Try your best to find things around you that make you feel empowered and strong, so that you can keep your sanity throughout this remainder of the circuit breaker that we're trying to establish here. Okay, all of that to say, I love you guys. I care about you guys. I really want to make sure that I can give you whatever tools you need to survive and to thrive, not just survive. And yeah, I'll catch you again on the next episode. Bye.